It's been probably close to 7 months now since I originally looked at FluentCRM. Now, FluentCRM is a growingly popular WordPress plugin that allows you to bring your whole email list in-house along with a full marketing automation platform. And it's really cool and it's changed a lot in 7 months. And the question is it ready for me to actually move my own business to it? So let's go ahead and look at that. So when I first looked at FluentCRM and I wrote a review of it, it was basically version 1.0. It was like pretty much right out of the gate. And I was pretty impressed with how mature it looked given that time. But I'm like, this thing doesn't have much of a track record yet. And also it didn't have conditional logic in it, which was pretty important to me. And so it just wasn't ready. But I did see the potential to it. I purchased it. I have a license to it. But I'm still paying Drip. Drip is what I'm using right now as my CRM. And I'm kind of grandfathered into a rate that you can't really get anymore. And I'm paying annually for it. But basically, I'm paying about $1,500 a year for Drip, which works out to about $124 and change per month. And so I don't have a problem affording it. The business makes plenty of money to be able to afford that. But let's face it, putting $124 a month back in my pocket again, I'd rather keep it, okay? That's just the nature of it. So what I want to do is I want to look at FluentCRM all this time later. As of this particular video, it's on version 2.04, okay? That's what I'm running on one of my sites, not the Blog Marketing Academy. And I know another one is coming out really soon, so maybe it'll be version 2.1 or something like that. So that's where we stand, and I just want to go back and review why I couldn't use it before, and then I want to look at, can I use it now? So the first reason why I want to switch, and that's what I just mentioned, is the cost. Clearly, Drip is, it ain't the cheapest thing in town, but it goes with the territory. You know, if you're going to go with ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or any quality provider that has some kind of automation capability built into it, you're paying them for hosted software. You're paying them for all of that. And so just like a regular hosting bill, you're going to have a monthly bill associated with your email list. One of the big sticklers with it, though, other than just the mere cost, is that there's actually a bit of a growth tax built in, because the bigger your list gets, the higher your prices go. And so it's, in some ways, you're kind of penalized for your list growing, which you kind of want it to do. Now, I don't really look at it like that, because truth is, with a larger list, you can make more money with it. So it really shouldn't be a thing. But when you keep your list in-house, you're no longer penalized for the list getting bigger. Whether you've got 100 people or 100,000 people, your cost is the same, which is really cool. So, but as I mentioned before, I'm currently spending about $124, $125 per month on the average for Drip, and obviously I wouldn't mind keeping it. The second option is automated backups. Now, this is definitely a reason why I am intrigued about bringing everything in-house, because my web host, of course, backs up the entire site every single night. It does that automatically, okay? And then I also have a system here on my computer that will log in, and it will download those backups to my computer, so I actually have local backups as well, and so I've got some redundancy. Now, I don't have that with Drip. Now, like any email provider, I can go in and I can export my list and I get a big CSV file, and then I can do various things with that, but there's nothing automated about it, okay? There's no automated backup. It's basically very reliant on Drip doing their job, and of course, they're gonna do their job. But isn't it much more elegant and simpler if that when I back up my website, I have my entire email list backed up with it. I've got all my automations, every single aspect that goes into the email marketing is going to be built right into the platform, and it all goes with it. It's all backed up at the same time. The third thing is, of course, the baked-in automations. And this goes kind of similar to what I just mentioned, and that is that all the automations, all the things that actually make the site run and communicates out to people is baked into the exact same platform. When I export data out of Drip, none of the automations come with it, but that's not the case with FluentCRM. It's all together. Not only that, FluentCRM actually has the ability to export and import the actual automations. So it's actually got more flexibility, whereas Drip and pretty much every other provider out there, you don't have that option. I want to also mention that having everything in-house means that you can use the various automation tools for WordPress itself in order to trigger events inside your CRM. And it's just a much more seamless experience because Fluent CRM has hooks in there for WooCommerce already. You can use Uncanny Automator or Automator WP and trigger automations on any number of things across the website. It integrates with a ton of other things indirectly through Automator WP or Uncanny Automator. So there's a lot of power there with having it all in-house, that whereas otherwise I'd have to be dealing with Drip via an API, and it's just a remote call. The fourth thing, and it's a small one, but that's just the interface itself. Now, the Drip interface is pretty good, but when it comes to the actual screen for each individual contact, I actually prefer the screen that's inside of FluentCRM. I just think it makes more sense. The thing about Drip is it's almost like every contact is essentially a set of core fields, but then as far as custom fields, there's essentially no flexibility. It's almost like a big, meta key and value pairing. And so there's no field types, there's no formatting options to it. It's just really, really basic. Whereas Fluent CRM, when you create custom fields, you can actually choose types to them. It just makes more sense. I find the interface makes a lot more sense. The other thing is that Drip, they keep making changes to their interface, and some of them are okay, but other ones I really don't like, but they just plow through and do it because they're a big corporation. They think they know better. I personally don't think that they really pay that much attention to how a lot of their end users actually use it, so they go in there with their tunnel vision and they make some change thinking that that's what everybody wants. But then when I go into the Facebook group, I'm not the only one that finds that change kind of annoying. And whereas with Fluent CRM, I don't think I'm going to have a problem with them doing some radical user interface change over top of what people say, because I have a much better connection with people who actually created the software. Which brings me to number 5, and that's the developers. The developers are nice. It's one of those things with these types of projects. I love it when I either get to know the developer or I'm working at least with a small team. And I'm not going to give the impression that I'm working directly with the team of Fluent CRM. I'm not, but they've got a Facebook group and they're really responsive in there. And I assume he's the founder of the company. I'm not really sure, but he answers questions. He's gotten to, he knows me when I'm speaking. I mean, I've seen him comment on my YouTube videos. I love dealing with smaller teams that are responsive. I love that about WP Fusion too, because the developer of that, Jack, I have a connection with him on Facebook, and I mean, I've made suggestions and I've actually had them implemented into WP Fusion for everybody else. If I have an issue with, hey, how do I do this? He comes in with some type of a solution. Super responsive. I have never had that with Drip. Drip is a much larger company, and it's a different type of feeling. I like the small teams. Okay, so if I look at the things that were not ready for me with Fluent CRM and I look at them now, let's look at where we stand and let's get to the question of, could I actually switch? Do I want to switch soon here? The first one, this was really big for me at the time, and that is that it did not have any conditional logic capability. And this was really important within the automation. Simple branches that says if they have a tag, do this. If they don't have the tag, do the other thing. That, I could not operate without that capability, and version 1 did not have it. Well, it does now. It totally has it. It's been out for many versions now, and so the option is there, and that is no longer a barrier. The second thing was the lack of opt-in form options at the time. Now, It integrates with more things now. That's a big thing. At the time, it only pretty much worked with Fluent Forms, which was their own system. They built it, and it works with that obviously really, really well. But you didn't really have any other options at all. But now you do. I mean, you guys know that I like Thrive Themes, and unfortunately, I'm not using it on Blog Marketing Academy anymore because I had to make a big switch with the membership site set up. So I'm on Buddy Boss and stuff like that now. But Thrive Themes is great, and the Thrive lead system and the Thrive lead generation block that's inside of Thrive Architect, it works with FluentCRM. So it's all built in. You can make these opt-in forms look any way that you want now in there. It also works with Elementor really nicely. So you can build opt-in forms in Elementor. Now, I haven't gone through the entire list of the stuff that it does integrate with, but it integrates with a lot of stuff now. So you have a lot more ways of making opt-in forms. When it comes to ConvertBox, which a lot of people know that I really like ConvertBox, it's the same exact issue. You do not have a full official integration with FluentCRM and ConvertBox yet. Now you can get leads from ConvertBox into FluentCRM using the webhook, so you could still get leads in there, not a problem. You're just not going to be able to have that ability to hide or show ConvertBoxes based on the tag because I do not have the ability to talk back via the API. But that's another change I should mention is that Fluent CRM now has a full official API. I don't remember if it did at the time. So basically, ConvertBox can integrate with Fluent CRM. It's just a matter of will they and when. At the time, there was definitely a lack of a track record, and that was a thing for me. I mean, let's face it, it was version 1 at the time. Not many people used it. I bought it during its launch window, and so I'm not going to move my entire email list to something that I don't even know yet how well it works. I bought it based on the potential of it, okay? Well, it's different now. We're like 7 months later. They're on version 2 point something. It's very different. It has a lot more integrations, as I mentioned. I'm seeing people in the group that are sending out to lists that are way bigger than mine. So it's obviously doing it now without any problem. It's programmed in such a way where it's not resource intensive on your site because it's kind of like programmed as an island. It uses custom database tables. So it's not like hogging a bunch of power from WordPress. It's not going to slow down the website. You're not using your server to send the emails. You're going to be tapping into a remote service like Amazon SES or something like that. The thing works, and it's got a lot more of a track record now. So check, that one's not a problem. The last one that was a bit of a thing for me, and that's just the pain in the butt factor of having to move away from Drip and rebuild my automations. And that is still there. However, things have shifted a little bit in a couple of ways. First of all, if I'm really honest, if I go back and I look at a lot of the automations that I have in Drip, a lot of them really aren't being used anymore. I've been on Drip for a long time, and anybody who's been using a marketing automation platform for a while, you know that after a while, things start to look a little complicated. You got a lot of tags in there from stuff you were doing before. You've built a lot of automations for stuff that you're not doing anymore. And so I've got some stuff that I could just totally abandon. I don't need to bring it over to FluentCRM. The other thing is that my business is easier than it used to be. I used to have a lot more moving parts to it. Everything's in one spot now, and there's just not as much complication to it. And so my needs in terms of the automations are just not as big of a deal. I'm not trying to do quite so many things as I was before. And so FluentCRM is more than capable of doing what I need it to do. Okay, so here on my screen, I've got Drip on one side and we've got FluentCRM on the other. Now, I'm running this on another site. This is not the Blog Marketing Academy, so I don't have a whole lot of activity here inside of FluentCRM. But you can see over here in Drip, I do. Now, if I start looking at a lot of these different automations that I've got, like here's one where when people purchased a 5-credit package for services here on the site. And you can see I do a few basic things here. I add 5. This is some weird liquid templating thing. So one thing I need to be able to do is can I increment a numeric custom field inside of FluentCRM? The answer right now is not very easily. And so that's one issue, but there's a couple options that I have here because basically, if we go to this test automation, this is inside of FluentCRM. You can see that we do have conditional logic. I'm just kind of playing around here. And I probably, yeah, I wouldn't even really need conditional logic in that case, but you can see that it does have it. But let's go to add an action, and you can update a contact property. And I've got a custom field in here called balance, which is a numeric custom field added to the fields. But you could see that I can override it. I can enter a property value and I can change that custom field, but I can't necessarily add to it or subtract from it. And so that's one thing that would be really nice to have built right into FluentCRM. That would be a little bit of a problem for me right now. However, there are ways. I've been told that there's a way with the API for FluentCRM to basically add my own little automation capability to this to take care of it. So I'm going to look into that. The other thing that I have found is that Automator WP actually can take care of that. Let me pull that up. I don't think I've got it on the site. There we go. Pull that up. So if you look at all the various actions here that this thing can do, this is basically like an if this then that type of a thing, and it'll integrate with a ton of stuff. One of them here is if we go way down to the bottom and we look at the built-in WordPress capabilities and look at, these are the triggers, and we look at our actions. Way down here at the bottom, we can set, we can insert, increment, or decrement post meta. Oh, right, this one, user meta. Same exact thing for user meta. And by the way, the free version will do it. All right, and so there actually is a way here. If I don't want to code something, perhaps they will build this into FluentCRM right off the bat. But this plugin called Automator WP and the free version could actually do it for me, because my balance field is actually being done using a custom field that I set up with advanced custom fields. And so that might actually do the trick for me. Okay, so that one would work. A lot of this other stuff, if we want to record an event inside a drip, well, back in the system, we can do that type of thing by adding an action, and you can add notes or activity to a contact record in there. And so that we can definitely do. Sending an email. This is where I actually send them an email acknowledgement that the credits have been added to their account. Well, we have that, send custom email, so that's not going to be any problem. I probably won't even need to do this tag, triggering it with this tag and removing a tag anymore, but if I do, obviously that's really easy to do. We can apply a tag right here. We can remove a tag, so that's really easy. Now this one is a webhook call, and I'm actually not going to need that anymore. The reason I only need this webhook is because Drip is a remote service. So in order to communicate with my WordPress site, I need to use webhooks. Well, two things. First of all, if FluentCRM is on my WordPress site, I no longer need a webhook because it's all in-house. Secondly, the next version of FluentCRM actually is going to support webhooks. So if I needed it, I will have that option. Here's another automation I just looked at. This is for when somebody registers as a pro member, but I do a bunch of little things. I set a field here to the current date. So that one I did once again look, and there doesn't look to be a way to do that. So that will be something that I will need to look at in terms of how I can add a date that they joined or something like that. I know that I could do it by doing this, add notes and activity, but it's not quite the same as being able to update the custom field. So I'll need to look into that. Back in Drip, I do a lot of removing and applying tags. We can totally do that. We don't need to, recording an event, I do by adding a note or activity on their field. Sending an email, running delays. Yeah, we can totally do delays too. So the way it works here, let me see where we find the delays. I think it's under actions actually. We can cancel automation. Here it is. Wait a certain number of days, hours, what have you. So we would do that, and that would be our delay functionality. And let's see what we could do. We could do wait a minute. So yeah, even if you wanted to just wait like 1 minute and then do something, and you stick it onto the automation, it will run a delay before it executes the next step. So basically, long story short, when I'm looking at Drip with some of these automations that I have going on, I don't think I've got really anything going on anymore that I couldn't already do, that I can't do with FluentCRM. Some of these are being triggered by WooCommerce, like if they buy a particular product, and I'm triggering it with this tag, but I don't even know if I would need to do that anymore because FluentCRM has direct integration with WooCommerce. So once again, all of this would be very easy to do. Okay, so let's wrap this video up. The answer is I'm going to actually switch to FluentCRM. Now, I'm not in a massive hurry on it. I think I've got about 6 months left prepaid still with Drip, so it's not like I need to make this change really, really fast. However, I really don't think I'm going to be renewing it this time. I think I'm going to officially make the switch, and I'm going to bring everything in-house. I probably won't even wait the full 6 months, but it's prepaid. It is what it is. The cool thing, I mean, it's going to be definitely some work involved with switching it over. WP Fusion does have a process to go through with switching CRMs. Now, it doesn't move data for you or anything, so I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to test some things out in staging first, and then move the automations over, import the list, and kind of just make sure everything is where I need it to be. And in the meantime, Drip is going to continue to do its thing while FluentCRM sits there in the background. So that's how that's going to work while I get it done, and I will keep you guys informed on what that transition looks like and any little things that come up here in some future videos and posts. All right, talk to you guys later.